I did not cry because he ate a cookie. I cried because of the peace he decided was enough for me. That is the sentence I kept repeating in my head the next morning while I stood in my kitchen with the trash can open and stared at a little brown paper bag that still smelled like sugar and butter. It looked harmless sitting there under the coffee grounds, a bakery bag. Grease darkened at the corners. One sticker folded over the top with the name of the restaurant printed in green ink. If anyone else had seen it, they would have seen leftovers. I saw a receipt for how small I had let myself become. The night before, I had ordered dinner for both of us. Nothing fancy. It was Thursday. I had worked late, and I did not have the energy to cook or pretend that pasta from a pan counted as effort if both of us were too tired to appreciate it. There was a little place near my apartment that made sandwiches, soup, and these thick chocolate cookies with sea salt on top. They were the kind of cookies you bought when you wanted the day to have a small apology at the end of it. Jonah picked a roast chicken sandwich and a square of honey cake. I picked tomato soup, half a grilled cheese, and 2 cookies. 2 cookies, because I know myself. I knew I would want one after dinner. I also knew that Jonah would look over as soon as I opened the bag and say, "Are you going to eat both of those?" in the joking voice that was never only joking. So I solved the problem before it existed. I bought 2. One for me, one for him if he wanted it after his own dessert. That was the kind of thing I did for him all the time. Not dramatic sacrifices. Not the kind anyone would notice from across a room. Just little advanced negotiations with someone else's appetite. I ordered extra sauce because he liked to dip the fries even when he said he did not need fries. I kept sparkling water in my fridge because he preferred it to still. I chose the side of the couch with the lamp glare because he liked the corner cushion. I charged my tablet in the bedroom because he said the cord across the living room made the place feel cluttered. If you put each of those things alone on a table, they look like nothing. If you stacked them, they made a wall. I did not know that yet. Or maybe I did and was waiting for a smaller truth to say it for me. Jonah and I had been together for 8 months. Officially, almost a year, if you counted the months where we were seeing where it goes. Which mostly meant I was acting like a girlfriend while he reserved the right to sound surprised when I expected boyfriend behavior. He was not cruel in the obvious ways. That was part of what made it confusing. He remembered which side of the bed I liked. He sent me songs. He could be gentle when I was anxious, rubbing the back of my hand with his thumb until my breathing slowed down. He told me I made his apartment feel less temporary, but he also had a way of taking up the full room without raising his voice. If he was irritated, the night rearranged around it. If he was hungry, we ate immediately. If he was tired, the lights went off. If he wanted silence, my stories got shorter. If he wanted comfort, my lap became the place he put his head, even when I had my laptop open and a deadline blinking red at the corner of the screen. He called it being close. I called it closeness too, because the other word would have forced me to decide what to do about it. That Thursday, he was already in a strange mood when he came over. Not angry exactly. Restless. Edgy in the way that made every ordinary sound feel like it had been made wrong. The elevator had taken too long. The hallway smelled like someone's dinner. My kitchen light was too bright. The restaurant app was stupid because it made him pick a pickup time instead of promising the food would be ready by magic. I tried to keep things light. "You are allowed to sit down," I said, tapping the chair with my foot while I added soup to the order. "I am sitting. You are pacing in a seated position." He smiled for half a second, then leaned over my shoulder and pointed at the screen. "Get the honey cake. The last time it sold out." "For you?" "For us," he said. There was that word again. Us. It sounded generous until I noticed how often it pointed toward him. I ordered the honey cake. Then I saw the cookies and thought, fine, one sweet thing for me too. I clicked 2 without making an announcement out of it. I paid for everything. Jonah offered to pick it up, which was nice, but then he spent 10 minutes grumbling because the restaurant had stapled the bag shut and he hated when places did that. By the time he came back, I had changed into soft pants and put on an old detective show, the one with slow dialogue and blue lighting that made the apartment feel calmer than it was. I set plates on the coffee table. Jonah dropped the food bag beside them and went straight for his sandwich. The restaurant had forgotten his extra sauce. That was the first small storm. He pulled every napkin and container out of the bag as if the sauce might be hiding under physics. "Of course," he said. "I can call them," I offered. "It's not worth calling." I can still call. No, it's fine. But it was not fine. He ate the sandwich like someone completing a punishment. He sighed twice. He said the chicken was dry. He said it would have been good with the sauce. He said he did not understand how a restaurant with a printed checklist could forget the thing printed on the checklist. I listened. I sympathized. I poured soup into my bowl and ate slowly because it was hot and because my jaw hurt from clenching it. Halfway through dinner, he opened his honey cake. "Want a bite?" he asked. "Yes, please." He cut off a small corner with the side of his fork and held it out. It was sticky and sweet and good. I told him so. He ate the rest in 4 bites. After that, I turned my attention back to the show and to a sketch I had been working on for a client. It was just background work, cleaning lines, the kind of task I could do while sitting beside someone. Jonah finished before I did, because he always finished before I did. I heard him moving around the coffee table, folding wrappers, opening the second bag, closing it again. I assumed he was cleaning. I remember feeling grateful for that. I remember thinking, see, you get too hard on him when you are tired. Then I finished my soup. I put my bowl down, stretched my fingers, and said, "Can you hand me my cookie bag?" Jonah reached beside his leg and passed it to me without looking away from the television. The bag felt too light. That is the detail my body noticed before my mind did. Too light. Almost empty. The sticker was torn open. Inside were 2 broken pieces. Not even halves. Quarters, maybe? One was missing its salted top. The other had a bite mark in the soft edge. For a second, I did not understand what I was seeing. Then I did. "You ate them?" I asked. He looked over. "What? My cookies." "Oh, yeah." He shrugged like I had asked if he had moved a pillow. "I left you some." I stared at the bag. "I left you some." There are phrases that do not look like doors until they open onto a room you cannot unsee. That was one of them. He had eaten his honey cake. He had been offered a bite and accepted the arrangement as fair. Then, while I was sitting right there, while my dinner cooled slowly because I was tired and drawing and not inhaling food at his pace, he had opened the bag I paid for, taken the dessert I had chosen for myself, eaten 1 whole cookie and most of the other, and decided 2 broken pieces were enough. Not because he asked. Not because I said I did not want them. Because he wanted them. And wanting them had apparently been a full explanation. "Jonah," I said carefully, "you had your dessert. We always share food. We share bites." I thought we were sharing everything. I looked at the pieces again. "Then why did sharing look like you getting almost all of mine after you got all of yours?" His face changed. Not into guilt. Into injury. As if I had taken a normal evening and held it under an ugly light just to embarrass him. "It's a cookie, Claire." I nodded, because that sounded true if you said it from far enough away. "It is," I said. "And you still could not leave me one." He leaned back against the couch. "I didn't know you were going to be weird about it." There it was again. The problem had moved. It was no longer the bag, the crumbs, the decision he made while I was not looking. It was my reaction. My weirdness. My sudden, unreasonable attachment to being left one intact thing that belonged to me. I felt heat climb up my neck. Not anger first. Shame. I wish it had been anger. Anger would have made me stand up straight. Shame made me want to apologize for noticing. I got up and walked into the bedroom before my eyes filled completely. The bedroom was dark, except for the little charging light on my tablet case. I sat on the edge of the bed and pressed my palms together between my knees. I told myself not to cry. Then I cried anyway, quietly, in that humiliating way, where the body decides the truth has arrived before the mind finishes defending everyone. It was not the cookie. It was the appointment he had forgotten, and then asked me to reschedule because I was better at phone calls. It was the birthday dinner where he ate from my plate before I had taken a first bite, because yours always looks better. It was the way he used my shampoo and never replaced it because you buy the good kind anyway. It was the morning he drank the coffee I had poured for myself and laughed when I stared at the empty mug. It was the fact that I had started ordering, buying, setting aside, carrying extra, making room, making peace, making excuses and calling it love, because love sounded kinder than training someone to expect your share. A cookie was just the first thing small enough to hold the whole pattern. When I came back into the living room, Jonah was standing by the couch with his arms crossed. The television was paused on a detective's face, mouth half open, as if even he had stopped mid-sentence to listen. "Are you seriously crying?" Jonah asked. I wiped under my eyes. "I think you should go home tonight." He blinked. "Because of dessert?" "Because I feel really uncared for right now." "That is insane." "I know it sounds small. It is small." "No," I said, "the cookie is small. The part where you thought leaving me scraps was fine is not." He threw his hands up. "I didn't think of it like that." "That is the problem." He stared at me. "So I'm supposed to read your mind now?" I almost laughed. That was how tired I was. Because what mind reading would have been required? The bag had 2 cookies, he had 1 dessert already, I had bought the dinner, I had not finished eating. I was sitting within arm's reach. The solution was not hidden in my childhood trauma or written in a secret language across my forehead. The solution was leave 1 cookie for the person who ordered cookies. "You did not need to read my mind," I said. "You needed to count to 2. That made him angrier than anything else I said. His mouth tightened. Wow. I did not feel the silence. That was new for me. Usually, if Jonah went quiet, I rushed in with cushions. I softened. I explained better. I told him I knew he did not mean it. I gave him the path back to being good without requiring him to build it himself. That night, I let the silence stand. He grabbed his jacket from the chair. "You are making me feel like some kind of monster over a snack," he said. "I am telling you I am hurt." "No, you are punishing me. I asked you to go home." "Same thing." He moved toward the door, then turned back like he expected me to stop him. I did not. I stood beside the coffee table with the little bag still in my hand. He looked from my face to the bag and shook his head. "You know, most people would be happy I left any." That sentence did more for me than an apology could have. Because there it was, clear and clean and ugly, not a misunderstanding, not a moment of forgetfulness. A standard. In his mind, the generosity was not leaving my dessert alone. The generosity was not finishing it. Most people would be happy I left any. I opened the door. He left without saying goodbye. After he was gone, the apartment felt enormous. The detective show waited on pause. The soup bowl sat on the table with a spoon tilted against the rim. His honey cake wrapper was folded neatly beside the remote. Mine was in my hand, reduced to evidence. I thought I would feel foolish once I was alone. I thought the drama of the moment would drain out and leave me embarrassed, a grown woman standing in a quiet living room because a man ate a cookie. Instead, I felt something steadier. Grief, maybe, but also recognition. I put the 2 broken pieces on a plate. I do not know why. Maybe because throwing them away felt too symbolic and eating them felt worse. They sat there under the kitchen light like tiny ruins. My phone buzzed 10 minutes later. "Jonah, I'm sorry you're upset." Not "I am sorry I ate your dessert." Not "I am sorry I left you almost nothing." Not "I am sorry I called you weird for being hurt." "I'm sorry you're upset." The apology that stands safely across the street from responsibility. I typed 3 different answers and deleted all of them. Then I wrote, "I need space tonight." "We can talk tomorrow," he responded with a thumbs up. Somehow the thumbs up hurt more than a paragraph. I did not sleep well. I woke up at 2, at 4, at 5:30. Each time, my mind tried to put the story on trial. Maybe I should have labeled the bag. Maybe 2 cookies did imply sharing. Maybe I was tired. Maybe he really thought I would not care. Maybe everyone has selfish moments. But every defense ran into the same wall. When I asked him to understand, he did not ask how to repair it. He asked why I was making him feel bad. That was not confusion. That was priority. In the morning, I called my sister Nina. I almost did not, because Nina has a way of being direct before coffee that can feel like weather. But she answered on the second ring, and when I said, "Can I tell you something stupid?" she said, "If you have to introduce it that way, it probably is not stupid." So I told her. I told her about the order, the honey cake, the cookies, the bag, the pieces, the argument, the sentence he said at the door. Nina was quiet for a moment after I finished. Then she said, "Claire, toddlers share better than that." I laughed because it surprised me, and then I cried again because it was the first response that made the room inside my chest loosen. "I feel ridiculous," I said. "You feel trained." That stopped me. "What?" "You feel trained to make his comfort bigger than your disappointment. So when your disappointment finally gets bigger anyway, you think you did something wrong." I sat down at the kitchen table. Nina continued, softer now. It is not about whether the cookie matters to anyone else. It matters because it showed you the math. He got his dessert. Then he got yours. Then he wanted credit for leaving crumbs. That is the math. I looked at the plate. One broken piece had gone stale at the edge. What do I do? I asked. You decide whether you want to spend your life labeling everything you hope he will not take. That sentence stayed with me all day. Do I need to write my name on the leftovers? Do I need to hide the expensive shampoo? Do I need to say, before every meal, before every plan, before every favor, before every quiet part of myself, this is mine, please do not use it up? Do I need to explain that sharing requires two people to still exist at the end of it? By noon, Jonah texted again. Can we stop making this a thing? I stared at the message for a long time. The phrasing was perfect in the worst way. Not can we talk. Not can I come over and apologize properly. Not I thought about it and I see why it hurt you. Can we stop making this a thing? As if the thing had assembled itself out of my attention, I wrote back, I am not ready to stop making it a thing because it is part of a bigger pattern. He answered almost immediately. What pattern? Me eating food? This is exhausting. There was a time when that would have worked. Exhausting was one of his most effective words. It made me want to become easy. It made me want to shrink the problem until he could step over it without bending. But I had the plate in front of me. I had the math. I had Nina's sentence. So I typed, the pattern is that when something belongs to me, you treat it like it belongs to us. When something belongs to you, it stays yours. Then when I am hurt, you make the hurt the problem. 3 dots appeared. Vanished. Appeared again. Finally, I think you're overreacting. I put the phone face down. That was when the decision arrived. Not dramatic, not cinematic, not with a swelling soundtrack. It arrived like a lock clicking into place. I did not have to convince him the cookie mattered. I only had to believe what it showed me. That evening, Jonah came by because he said texting was making things worse. I almost said no, but part of me wanted to see whether he could sit in the room with my hurt without trying to evict it. He arrived with a bakery box. For half a second, hope betrayed me. Then he opened it and said, see, I got you 6 cookies. Now can we be done? They were beautiful cookies. Chocolate, oatmeal, lemon, one with icing. They smelled warm. They were also not an apology. They were a receipt he expected to trade for silence. I looked at the box, then at him. Do you know what you are sorry for? I asked. He exhaled. Claire, just tell me. I'm sorry I ate the cookies. Why? Because you got upset. No. His eyes narrowed. What do you want from me? I want you to understand that you took something I chose for myself, after taking what was already yours. I want you to understand that leaving me a bite was not kindness. I want you to care that I felt like an afterthought in my own apartment. He set the bakery box on the counter too hard. I cannot believe we are still talking about dessert. And just like that, the hope went quiet. I did not yell. I did not cry that time. I did not list every example from the last 8 months, though they lined up inside me like witnesses. The coffee, the shampoo, the couch, the phone calls, the way my needs became negotiable whenever his wanted company. I simply said, I think we should end this. He stared at me. You are breaking up with me over cookies. No, I said, I am breaking up with you because you still think that is what this is about. He laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. Good luck finding someone who cares this much about every tiny thing. I hope I do, I said. That answer surprised both of us. He left the bakery box on the counter when he walked out. I did not chase him with it. I did not text him after. I did not open the door when he came back 20 minutes later to ask if we were really doing this. I spoke through the chain and said yes. When the apartment finally settled, I took the 6 cookies to my neighbor across the hall, Mrs. Alvarez, because her granddaughter was visiting, and because I did not want consolation disguised as sugar. Mrs. Alvarez took one look at my face and did not ask for the whole story. She just accepted the box and said, some gifts are not for keeping. I went back inside and cleaned the living room. I threw away the honey cake wrapper. I threw away the little paper bag. I washed the plate with the broken pieces on it. Then I made myself toast, sat on the couch and ate it slowly while the detective show played from the exact paused moment where I had left it. Nobody reached over. Nobody asked if I was going to finish. Nobody turned my portion into a group resource and called me selfish for wanting it intact. The quiet felt strange at first. Then it felt like mine. In the weeks after, I caught myself making extra space out of habit. I almost bought sparkling water at the grocery store, even though I do not like it. I almost moved to the lamp glare side of the couch before remembering there was no one else there. I almost saved the last slice of bread for a man who no longer had a key. Each time, I stopped. Not triumphantly. Just gently, like returning something misplaced to its proper shelf. This is mine. My food, my time, my rest, my disappointment, my right to notice when love starts looking like leftovers. A month later, Nina came over with takeout from the same restaurant. She did not ask if that was okay until she was already at the door, holding the bag up with a guilty face. "I can take it back," she said. I laughed. "Do not be dramatic. I learned from you. We ate on the floor because I had sold the old coffee table and had not found a new one yet. She ordered soup. I ordered grilled cheese and one cookie. Just one. When the bag came, Nina took it out, placed it on a napkin in front of me, and slid it across the floor like a tiny ceremony. "Yours," she said. It was such a small word. It nearly undid me. I broke the cookie in half and offered her a piece because I wanted to. Because she had not reached, because she had not assumed, because generosity feels different when it is not being extracted. Nina took it and raised it like a toast. "To tiny things that tell the truth," she said. I smiled. "To listening when they do." And for the first time in a long time, I ate my half without hurry, without guarding it, without explaining why I deserved it. It tasted like chocolate and salt, and the beginning of getting myself back.
Thank you for watching. If this story pulled you in, do me one favor. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so the next one finds you the moment it drops. Remember, nothing is ever just what it seems. See you on the next one.